The year was 2147, and the stars above Earth were no longer just points of light. They were battlegrounds. After centuries of exploration, colonization, and conflict, humanity had stretched its reach across the solar system and into neighboring star systems. But with expansion came opposition, a coalition of alien races, each with its own agenda and grievances against humans, had formed an alliance, vowing to protect their territories from what they saw as humanity's reckless ambitions. Commander Elise Harrington stood on the observation deck of the Lance of Night the flagship of the silent Armada. The view was breathtaking. A fleet of sleek, dark vessels hovered silently, their surfaces glinting like obsidian against the vast canvas of space. They were the culmination of humanity's most advanced technologies, warships designed to strike hard and vanish without a trace. Yet, amid the technological marvel, a sense of foreboding weighed heavily on her shoulders. Tension crackled through the air as crew members moved purposefully about the deck. They had trained tirelessly for this moment, but uncertainty gnawed at the edges of their resolve. Rumors of the coalition's formidable fleet spread like wildfire, each retelling amplifying fears of an overwhelming counterstrike. Harrington's thoughts flickered back to the briefing from Admiral Carter, who had made it clear that failure was not an option. The coalition's flagship, the Harbinger was said to be equipped with advanced weaponry capable of wiping out entire fleets in seconds. Harrington's own ship had been retrofitted with cutting-edge stealth technology, but would it be enough? She had confidence in her crew and the brilliance of the engineers who had designed their arsenal, yet the stakes were higher than ever. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for the very future of humanity. "Commander," a voice broke through her thoughts. It was Lieutenant Raynal, her tactical officer. "The latest reports indicate that the Coalition fleet is gathering near Zeta Prime. They are preparing for a show of force, and we have an opportunity to strike first." Elise nodded, her mind racing. A preemptive strike could cripple their enemies, but the risk was immense. What about the civilian colonies in the region? We cannot afford collateral damage. Raynal's brow furrowed. We could use the sensor readings to navigate around inhabited areas, but the Coalition's positioning is tight. They may not allow us the luxury of time. As the crew began to finalize their plans, an urgent distress signal burst through the comms. The voice was shaky, filled with desperation. A colony on the outskirts of the Coalition territory was under attack. Panic swept through the bridge. Harrington felt her heart race. She knew the implications. If they ignored the signal, lives would be lost. But if they diverted their course, they risked losing the element of surprise. "We have to help them," she said firmly, her decision cutting through the tension like a knife. "Prepare to adjust course. We can't abandon our own." The crew sprang into action, a renewed sense of purpose igniting their determination. Harrington felt a swell of pride for her team. They weren't just soldiers, they were protectors. As they charted a new course, she envisioned the silent Armada in action, not just as warriors, but as a symbol of hope for all humanity. In that moment, she understood that the battle for survival was not just against alien forces. It was a fight for the very soul of what it meant to be human. As the Lance of Night surged forward into the unknown, the shadows of war loomed larger than ever, but they would strike first. They would do so with stealth and purpose, proving that humanity would not be cowed into submission. The silent Armada was ready to carve its name into the stars, and they would do it without warning. As the Lance of Night surged through the depths of space, the crew's resolve crystallized. Commander Elise Harrington stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the flickering display of the star charts. They were on a collision course with destiny, but first, they needed to divert to the besieged colony. The ship hummed with the energy of focused anticipation, each crew member acutely aware of the weight resting upon their shoulders. "Prepare to engage stealth systems," Harrington commanded, her voice steady and authoritative. Lieutenant Reynolds' fingers danced across the control panel, engaging the cloaking mechanisms. A hushed silence enveloped the bridge as the ship's hull shimmered and faded from view, becoming nearly indistinguishable against the backdrop of stars. "Stealth systems online, Commander. We're invisible to enemy sensors," Reynolds confirmed, a hint of pride lacing his tone. "Good. Let's keep it that way," she replied, a flicker of satisfaction warming her. They were no longer just a fleet of ships. They had become phantoms, a whisper of death ready to strike. As they approached the colony, the visuals shifted to a live feed from the planet's surface. The screen displayed chaos: buildings in flames, civilians running for shelter, and coalition forces rampaging through the streets. Anger surged through Harrington. This was not just a battle for territory, it was a fight for innocent lives. "Launch reconnaissance drones," she ordered. The drones, designed for silent observation, slipped out of the asterisk lance of night asterisk, gliding toward the chaos below. As the drones transmitted data back to the ship, the crew absorbed the details of the unfolding nightmare. "Establish communication with the colony's command center," she instructed. Reynolds' fingers worked deftly, and soon a flickering holographic image of the colony's commander materialized before them, eyes wide with desperation. "Commander Harrington," he gasped, relief flooding his features. "We're overwhelmed. They're advancing toward the shelters." "We're on our way," Harrington assured him. "Hold your position and prepare for extraction. We'll do everything we can to minimize casualties." With the communication severed, she turned to her crew. "We don't have much time. We need to engage the coalition forces and create a safe corridor for the civilians to evacuate. We'll hit them fast and hard, disrupt their command structure." Reynolds raised an eyebrow. "A ground assault could be a gamble, especially if they have heavy artillery set up." "Then we'll use the element of surprise to our advantage. We'll coordinate the drones to pinpoint enemy positions and neutralize them before they can respond." "Everyone, prepare for rapid deployment," she said, her voice tinged with determination. The crew responded with a fervor that ignited a spark of hope in Harrington's heart. As they gathered their gear and checked their weapons, a palpable energy filled the air. This was more than just a mission. It was a chance to show humanity's strength and resolve. "Commander, drones report enemy concentrations along the eastern flank," Reynolds said, studying the incoming data. "It looks like they're gathering for an assault on the shelter." "Let's move quickly," she urged, her voice sharp with urgency. "We'll initiate a targeted strike, then follow up with ground forces for evacuation." In the moments that followed, the bridge pulsed with adrenaline. As the asterisk lance of night asterisk drifted closer to the target, Harrington could feel the weight of her crew's faith in her decisions. They were on the precipice of a battle that would define them, not just as soldiers, but as protectors of humanity. Outside the ship, the stars twinkled ominously, a silent witness to the turmoil that lay ahead. But within the heart of the asterisk lance of night asterisk, there was an unyielding spirit. They were ready to strike, to make their presence known, and to fight against the shadows threatening to engulf their world. The silent Armada was poised for action, and Harrington was ready to lead them into the fray. The Lance of Night glided silently through the void, the ship's hull still cloaked in advanced stealth technology. Commander Elise Harrington felt the weight of every heartbeat echoing in the bridge as they approached the chaotic scene unfolding above the colony. The crew members were tense, their eyes fixed on their monitors, awaiting the moment when they would make their presence felt. "Stealth systems holding steady, Commander," Lieutenant Reynolds reported, his focus unbroken. "We're still undetected, but we'll need to act quickly before they realize what's coming." Harrington nodded, steeling herself for the decisive moment. "Prepare the drones for a tactical strike. I want real-time feeds as we engage. They need to know we're here to protect our own." As the drones launched from the ship, tiny specks in the vastness of space, Harrington felt a rush of adrenaline. The drones split into formation, silently positioning themselves around the eastern flank of the coalition forces. Their sensors activated, mapping out enemy locations in intricate detail. The screens lit up with data streams, revealing concentrations of troops and artillery. Enemy positions confirmed. They're heavily fortified near the shelter's entrance, Raynal said, his voice steady despite the urgency of the situation. A frontal assault could result in significant casualties. Then we won't attack head-on, Harrington replied, her mind racing with strategy. We'll engage from the flank. Drones, initiate a distraction strike on the leftmost artillery unit. We need to create chaos. The drones surged forward, their small frames slipping through the darkness to the target zone. As they engaged, bright flashes erupted below as the coalition forces scrambled to respond. The enemy's confusion painted a vivid scene of disarray, and Harrington seized the opportunity. Now, she commanded, launch the main assault. The Asterisk Lance of Night Asterisk powered its engines, surging forward into the fray. They emerged from the cloak, the dark silhouette of the ship becoming stark against the backdrop of flames and chaos. The coalition forces turned in shock, their faces painted with disbelief as the human fleet revealed its presence. Firing weapons, Raynal shouted, and the ship shuddered with the force of its cannons. Pulses of energy lanced out, striking coalition ships and sending them spiraling into the depths of chaos. Explosions illuminated the battlefield, and Harrington felt a surge of exhilaration and anger. This was the moment they had trained for. Target those command ships. We need to cripple their leadership, she ordered, her voice cutting through the din of battle. The crew executed her commands flawlessly, redirecting fire to the enemy's command vessels. The coalition's response was swift. Retaliatory fire erupted from their ranks, but the Asterisk Lance of Night Asterisk was quick and agile, dodging energy blasts with practiced precision. As the battle raged on, Harrington caught glimpses of the ground situation through the drone feeds. Coalition troops were still in disarray, scrambling to regroup. The drones continued to provide crucial intel, picking off enemy positions with calculated strikes that further disrupted their ranks. Evacuation team, prepare for deployment, Harrington called out. She could see the civilian shelters struggling to maintain order amid the chaos. We need to get the civilians out before they get caught in the crossfire. Team 2 is ready, Commander, Raynal replied, activating the drop pods for the ground team. They'll deploy just behind the coalition lines. Go, move out, she urged, her heart racing. The drop pods disengaged from the ship, streaking down towards the surface like shooting stars, trailing smoke and light. As the ground team descended, Harrington focused on the battlefield. The coalition forces were beginning to realize they were outmatched, but it would take more than just fear to break their resolve. Her crew continued to hold the line, unleashing volley after volley of firepower against the enemy. Commander, Raynal shouted, pointing to the screen. They're deploying reinforcements from the north. Damn it, Harrington cursed under her breath. The coalition was regrouping faster than she had anticipated. We need to end this quickly. Focus fire on that command ship. If we take it out, we'll disrupt their entire operation. With renewed determination, the crew unleashed everything they had. The Asterisk Lance of Night Asterisk roared with the intensity of its weapons fire, relentless and unforgiving. The coalition forces could feel the tide turning. Their morale faltered as the flagship of the silent Armada surged forward, a symbol of humanity's defiance. And in the heart of the storm, Harrington understood one truth: this was just the beginning. As the Asterisk Lance of Night Asterisk and its crew forged into the breach, they were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for a future where humanity would no longer be viewed as a threat, but as a force for good among the stars. As the battle continued to unfold above the beleaguered colony, the Asterisk Lance of Night Asterisk pushed forward, unleashing its arsenal upon the disorganized coalition forces. The explosions lit up the night sky, casting eerie shadows over the chaos below. Commander Elise Harrington monitored the unfolding carnage, her heart racing with a mix of exhilaration and dread. The time for subtlety was gone. They had to strike decisively to turn the tide. Yet amidst the tumult, an unexpected shift began to stir within the ranks of the coalition. On the Harbinger the coalition flagship, Admiral Kira Thal had watched in disbelief as her forces were torn apart. The tactical screens flickered with warning signals, and her command crew struggled to regain control. Redirect all available units to flank the Lance of Night Thal barked, her voice sharp with urgency. We cannot let them regroup. But as her orders echoed through the bridge, a low murmuring began among her officers. Lieutenant Zarek, a seasoned officer who had fought alongside her for years, turned to her with a furrowed brow. Admiral, their technology is beyond anything we've encountered. We are losing men and ships at an alarming rate. Thal's gaze hardened. We will not cower before them. This is a matter of pride for the coalition. We must regroup and strike back. Yet Zarek's voice trembled with uncertainty. But at what cost? They are not just attacking us. They are protecting their own. What if there's more to this conflict than we know? The murmurs grew louder, echoing Thal's unspoken fears. Other officers exchanged glances, their loyalty waning as the reality of their losses set in. In the face of overwhelming odds, doubts began to creep into their hearts, igniting a rebellion of thought that could dismantle the very foundation of their command. Back on the Lance of Night Harrington's focus remained razor-sharp. Raynal, status on the ground team. She barked, refusing to let her mind wander to the turmoil surrounding the coalition leadership. Ground team reports they've breached the shelter area and are evacuating civilians. Raynal replied, his fingers tapping rapidly on the console. However, coalition troops are mobilizing for a counterattack. We need to cover them. Redirect fire toward the eastern flank. Any coalition units approaching the shelter must be neutralized, she commanded, her voice resolute. They could not afford to lose any civilians now. As the ship continued its relentless assault, Zarek's internal conflict deepened. He had always believed in the coalition's mission, yet watching their forces fall before the silent Armada was a harrowing experience. The screams of dying comrades rang in his ears, and the sight of coalition ships disintegrating one by one unsettled him. He made a decision. It was time to confront Admiral Thal. "Admiral," he said, his voice trembling with conviction, "we must reconsider our stance. We cannot continue this senseless slaughter. The humans are defending their home, just as we would. If we keep fighting, we risk provoking a war that could annihilate us all." Thal's eyes narrowed, her expression hardening. "You dare question my orders? We are not the villains here, Zarek. They are a threat, and we must eliminate them." Zarek stood firm. "But at what cost, Admiral?" "This could be the beginning of a new era, a chance for understanding. If we continue down this path, we may destroy any chance for peace." As the tension mounted, an uneasy silence filled the bridge. Thal opened her mouth to retort, but the sight of her officers, hesitant and conflicted, gave her pause. The battlefield beyond the viewport pulsed with energy, a stark reminder of the stakes they faced. Meanwhile, Harrington's voice crackled through the comms, transmitting a call to the coalition forces. "This is Commander Harrington of the Silent Armada. I urge you to reconsider your position. We fight to protect our own, not to destroy. Surrender now, and we can negotiate a future of coexistence." The message hung in the air, reverberating across the coalition fleet. For Zarek, it was a moment of hope, a chance to bridge the chasm of misunderstanding. The tension within the coalition command had reached a breaking point, and it was clear that the battle was not just against the Silent Armada, but within their very ranks. As chaos enveloped the battlefield, the seeds of dissent planted in the coalition's heart began to sprout. A fight for survival was evolving into a fight for the soul of their civilizations. The battle raged on, but the real conflict lay in the hearts of those who wielded the weapons. Would they choose destruction, or could they forge a new path in the stars? As the battle raged above the colony, Commander Elise Harrington stood at the helm of the Lance of Night *, her mind racing with the weight of decisions made in the heat of combat. The coalition forces were reeling, their command structure fractured, but the threat remained. She could see the chaos unfolding on the tactical screens. The remaining coalition ships were regrouping, their determination to fight hardened by their losses. "Status report, Raynal," Harrington demanded, her gaze fixed on the rapidly shifting displays. "Enemy forces are consolidating near the center of their formation," Raynal replied, sweat beading on his brow. "It appears Admiral Thal is preparing to make a final stand. Their resolve is not broken yet." Harrington clenched her jaw. The time for negotiations was slipping away. "We need to strike decisively before they can reinforce. If they regroup, this will turn into a drawn-out conflict." "Understood." "Targeting their command ship now," Raynal confirmed, his fingers flying over the controls. With a deep breath, Harrington called for the ship's forward battery to focus on the Harbinger *, the flagship of the coalition. "Prepare all weapons for a full salvo. We can't afford to miss." As the Lance of Night * locked onto its target, Harrington's mind flickered back to the communication she had sent earlier. The coalition had an opportunity to surrender, a chance to avoid further bloodshed. But would they see it as a lifeline or as a weakness? Just then, the comms crackled with an incoming transmission. Harrington's heart raced as the voice of Admiral Thal filled the bridge, laced with desperation. "This is Admiral Kira Thal of the Coalition Fleet. I'm calling for a ceasefire. We cannot continue down this path. Our losses are too great." Harrington's pulse quickened. "Admiral Thal, we can negotiate. Let's discuss terms for your surrender and how we can avoid further bloodshed." A tense silence enveloped the bridge as Thal's voice, tinged with exhaustion, replied, "We've been so blinded by our desire for dominance that we failed to see the bigger picture. Perhaps we fought the wrong enemy." For the first time, doubt flickered in the coalition admiral's voice. Harrington sensed the shift, but time was running out. "You have the chance to save your people, Admiral. Surrender now, and we can build a future together." "Hold your fire," Thal ordered, her voice shaky but resolute. "We will stand down. Prepare to negotiate." As relief washed over the bridge, Harrington felt a wave of triumph. They had fought valiantly, but the true victory was the chance to forge a new beginning. "Raynal, signal the fleet to cease fire," she instructed, her heart swelling with hope. "Let's make sure they know we are sincere." Just then, an explosion rocked the ship, alarms blaring across the bridge. Harrington stumbled, gripping the console for support. "What just happened?" "Coalition reinforcements," Raynal shouted, horror etched across his face. "They're attacking from the north flank. It's a trap." "Damn it," Thal called for a ceasefire. How could they? But before she could finish, another volley of fire struck the Lance of Night *, sending the ship careening. The crew scrambled to stabilize their vessel, chaos erupting as systems overloaded. "Focus fire on those attacking ships," Harrington roared, determination surging within her. "We can't let them destroy our chance for peace." As the crew regained control, they unleashed a barrage of firepower on the incoming coalition ships, the energy blasts lighting up the darkness of space. "Admiral Thal must have lost control of her forces," Raynal shouted, his eyes wide with urgency. "They're hell-bent on destroying us." "Then we'll show them that humanity will not back down," Harrington declared, her resolve unyielding. "We fight for our people and for peace, but we will not be pushed into a corner." With renewed fervor, The asterisk lance of Night Asterisk surged forward into the fray. The ship rocked under the assault, but the crew fought valiantly, their spirits unbroken. As energy blasts exploded around them, Harrington's heart raced, knowing they were on the brink of an all-or-nothing fight. In that final hour, everything hung in the balance: lives, futures, and the very essence of what it meant to coexist among the stars. Harrington felt a surge of strength as she and her crew battled not just for survival, but for a chance to build a bridge between worlds. The silent Armada would endure, and they would carve a path to peace, even amid the chaos of war. As the battle raged on, Harrington knew one truth: they were fighting not just against an enemy, but for the possibility of understanding. And in that struggle, hope flickered like a beacon in the darkness, guiding them toward a brighter tomorrow.